Hi, this is Marty and welcome back for another video. All right, in this video I'm going to talk about units, or more specifically, acid units. Where this comes from is I kept on getting a question of how much acid should I use, and I didn't have an answer. So I basically came up with a formula that is just a guess, but what it does is it's a methodology. It's a way of assessing your clients and saying, okay, well, if I have this many units, and what is a unit? Let's start with what a unit represents. So 1 unit equals 1% of acid. Okay, so in the serine line, AHA3 equals 3 units. Or, said better, the 3% of the AHA3 facial cleanser is equal to 3 units number times, what was that? Yeah, times a day. So, how many units would that be if AHA3 was used once or twice in the day? It would be, write this right here, it would be 3 or 6 units a day. If you take this information and then you apply it to the Fitzpatrick scale, let's go ahead and do Fitz. Okay, now remember Fitzpatrick scale is 1 through 6, right? But in the small scale, the way I teach it, it's a 1, a 2, or a 3, all right? So we have a 1, 2, small scale, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sense? Okay. It doesn't take long before you start to realize, well, wait a second. I'm scared of Fitzpatrick type 1 on the small scale, and I'm scared of type 3 on the small scale as well. 1s and 2s, blonde, blue eye, they're nightmares. And 5 and 6, African American, African skin and black and really, really dark East Indian skin. It's really, see what I'm saying? And most of the time, you stay in here and you're smiling. And then the nerves, that's why I always draw these arrows going outward, because the nerves, it becomes not so comforting. All right. So when I kept receiving the question of, well, how much glycolic acid? I'm like, well, I don't know your client. I don't know who your client is. I don't know the experience of the client. I don't know anything. How can I even answer that? So I said, that's not good enough. What I need to do is I need to answer the question for these skincare professionals, what should I do? What would I do? So if you look at any post-peel or post complications as a result of the strength of the acids, whether you're doing a chemical peel or in the type of different acids, what you're going to find is the deeper that I want to go within the skin, okay, we have the SC here, the epidermis, and the dermis, okay, and then we have this. The deeper that I want to go, the more potential there is for complications. And that goes, don't even think about the Fitzpatrick scale, okay? So if I apply, say for example, AHA3 twice a day, so we'll do 2 times here, okay? And then because they don't want to do a chemical peel, I'm going to go ahead and say, just to give an example, AHA 15 refining gel, which is what? 15 units of glycolic acid, right? So there's 15 units. We'll write it right here. 15 there, okay? And how many times? Well, if you don't have any, and forget the Fitzpatrick, we're not even thinking about that yet, okay? Well, I don't know how many or what I should do. Once or twice or 3 times? Think of the units, 15. Is 15 units in any given day added to the 3 or the 6, and in this case it would be 6 because everyone's using AM and PM on AHA3, is that a lot? Yes, you are now at 21 units. Is that a lot of acid? I think that it is. And it doesn't even matter what Fitzpatrick scale. Doesn't even matter. So what would I do if I still wanted to look at this, ignoring the Fitzpatrick scale, what would I do? I would say, keep using the AHA3, okay? Then once a week with AHA3 facial cleanser, I would add 2 or 3 drops of AHA15 in the evening, and that's it. And the reason I wouldn't put it on the cotton ball is because it's too much on the cotton ball. And think about this. When is that going to be applied? It's going to be applied after the cleanse. And what is going on during the application of the AHA3? Glycolic acid is time dependent, right? So if the client or yourself puts on AHA3 and you put it on your skin and then you wash it off, the glycolic acid is still working on your skin. It still is, because it's never been neutralized. Once the glycolic acid reaches a depth within your skin, it becomes diluted with water. The pH of the glycolic acid will rise. It will become buffered, and then it will eventually stop its acid of action on the stratum corneum. When you add once a week or twice a week a few drops of AHA15, of course it's going to last a long time. I mean, a few drops, right? What you're basically saying is, I'm going to go ahead and do what may be equivalent to a potential 10 or 20% chemical peel, actually with the fan brush and the whole chemical peel procedure, because you're dealing with 15 units in a gel-like form. And again, we're not even considering the Fitzpatrick scale yet. So if you look at what I've said and what I've done, I've taken the AHA15 off the cotton round because I already know how much exfoliation is going to happen, or the strength of the AHA15 on anything on the Fitzpatrick scale. So that's why I took it off the cotton round. You see, I think what happens is, and by the way, this is real skincare. This is like complicated. This is really understanding the skin and its method of action. And also, you can see that I've only touched on one particular product, just talking about the units of glycolic acid, and I've written all this on the board, and it can kind of be mind-numbing. So let's add in 2 other things that I know are affecting the use of acids and exfoliation in many parts of the world, right? Okay, so we have the Fitzpatrick scale, and then we have cold weather. Okay, let's talk about the Fitzpatrick scale first as it relates to this. But I'm going to add in the weather as well. Okay, all right. In California, where it's 75 to 85 degrees, and it rarely goes below 60, even in the wintertime, Fitzpatrick scale 1, 2, or 3 on the small scale is not going to have the depth of complication as you would in other cold climates where the temperature gets 25, let's say 30, 35 and below. How long does it take for the skin to become dry, for that cold weather to suck all the moisture out of your skin? Minutes? Seconds? So let's talk about what's happening on the cold side, and then come back to 1 and 3 on the Fitzpatrick scale, because it seems prudent to do so. When cold weather and chapping affects the skin, you have an immediate suction of water. How that's occurring, and here's the mechanism of action. I'll only draw 3 of them. These are corneocytes. In between is intercellular space, okay? and what are known as desmosomes. And I'll go ahead and they're like sticky tape, and they are what hold the stratum corneum together, or the corneocytes together. Okay? The cold weather is a barrier disruptor and increases transepidermal water loss. In Fitzpatrick, on the small scale, 1 and 3s, or 1 and 2, 5 and 6 on the large scale, this effect is going to be greater. And why is that? Because it's just a fact of nature that for the most part, to err on this side of the fence in understanding of Fitzpatrick 1 and 3 on the small scale is that they're more sensitive. They can't handle everything that 3 and 4 or 2 on the small scale can handle. It's just a great rule of thumb and a fact. But when it comes to cold weather, is it, well, if you look at it, when it comes to cold weather, is the difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 like this, or is it like this? It's like this, right? But if you put these 3 Fitzpatrick scales in California or Florida or whatever, just not the cold weather, right? The difference becomes what they can handle like this as it relates to units of acid and chemical peels and all that. Weather being the same, no one's afraid of Fitzpatrick 2. Everyone's afraid of 1s and the 3. In cold weather, that still remains the same. But now we have to add in the cold weather. Well, wait a second. Now they're all being affected by the cold, and it's exasperating and or increasing the difficulties of how do I administer the use of an exfoliator like glycolic acid in these cold environments. Well, understanding the skin and what it's doing in the cold environments is the key. All right. So the cold weather chaps the top layer of these corneocytes. And again, it's about the layer of the stratum corneum in normal, healthy, exfoliating, hydrating skin is normally anywhere between 15 and 25 layers thick. It's normally 18 to 20 around that area. Okay, gives you an idea of how powerful the stratum corneum in the skin really, truly is. But, so in colder weather, Fitzpatrick 1, 2, and 3 are all being chapped. So forget about the addition of glycolic acid because it's already, the cold weather is already disrupting the stratum corneum and transepidermal water loss, and the moisture within the skin is being sucked out. And that's why skincare professionals, even I agree, that it's even more important to exfoliate in the wintertime, because if the stratum corneum loses basically its moisture, the enzymatic function, and that's about 10%, okay, 10% of hydration of water content is in the SC, and the enzymatic process to exfoliate, for the natural process of exfoliation to happen, if it drops below 10%, if you got 1%, 2% in your SC, you're not exfoliating. Those skin cells are just rising and they're stopping. They're just building up. They are. And then your skin is becoming healthy, dry, and lifeless, and it's just a whole nother nightmare. Okay? All right. So basically with the cold weather, you have this chapped stratum corneum, which is increasing transepidermal water loss. Then you have the addition of the glycolic acid, okay, working on these desmosomes, chapping it further. Okay, so cold weather, brittle, chapped, right? Glycolic acid comes in, time dependent, sits on top of the stratum corneum, starts to eat away at the desmosomes, which are already chapped and dry, right? Then the exfoliation process of the glycolic acid comes in, more cold weather, and you have a recipe for redness, dry, uncomfortable clients. All right. What's the solution then? Okay. Understanding the behavior of your clients. That's the most important thing. So, and knowing the weather and letting your clients understand the weather going forward. So right here, I'm going to give an example of how I would handle and what I would do. All right. So if we have right here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay? All right. Depending on the Fitzpatrick scale and depending on the weather, how would you address this? Well, the ones and the threes, right here on the small scale, take special care. What I would do is I would remove all glycolic acid and keep the units on a daily basis less than 10. Oh, and by the way, if that's confusing to you, it was to me for like the longest time. So let me do this, okay? And I'll give you a small. I'm sorry. That's actually. Let me. I'll do it when it's written on the other side. It's like this. Okay. So you have your 10. It's 10, and it's less than. Okay. So whenever you see how that kind of works. If this was open, it would be greater than 10. But this is less than 10. See how that works? Okay. Yeah. I hate it too. All right. So back to Monday. Okay. So that's what I would do. And then because of the cold weather, I would not make an exception for 2. It would all be the same. Okay? Less than 10 units. Look how easy that is to handle. If you're using AHA3 facial cleanser, that's 6. Okay, now, if you're really concerned, okay, this is what I would do. I would do facial cleanser sensitive skin in the AM. Let me write that here. So Monday through Friday. And why did I choose Monday through Friday? Because they're going in and out. They can control their weekend better. So if I know the weather and I know what's going on, and also too, this is a great time to be able to talk to your clients and reach out to them and let them through emails and all kinds of stuff. You see how, you get the point. So Monday through Friday would be less than 10 units, okay? It would be AHA 3 in the AM, facial cleanser sensitive skin in the PM. Why would I do that? What I would prescribe is this, AHA 3 in the PM and facial cleanser sensitive skin in the AM. And why would I do that? I want to make sure that all glycolic acid, exfoliation, everything is happening at nighttime. Why is that? It's just better on the skin, just common sense. Is there a medical reason why? The application of vitamin C in the morning is because vitamin C is a natural SPF. That's why it was prescribed. And vitamin A in the evening, and vitamin A is a little more drying, retinol, right? That's basically how they got the separation. For me, I think you can apply it in the morning and in the evening and call it a day, whatever you want to do. But we have to decide and have some sort of protocol to tell the client so that they feel more organized. More organized. I would stop and not do AHA 15, except once. Saturday or Sunday, preferably Saturday morning. You see, if your client is coming in and you're not talking to them for weeks at a time, well, that in and of itself is part of the problem. You see what I mean? More communication with the client would be much, much better, all right? The issues with exfoliation, cold weather, and hydration is summed up with better understanding of glycolic acid units, better understanding of your client, and being more thoughtful in how you're prescribing the products as it relates to units. How much? If it sounds like I'm talking like that, one big circle, I apologize, I'm not trying to, but I just talked about two simple products and I haven't even gotten into hydration. But this is what I would do for hydration on Monday through Friday, and maybe hold off on Saturday or Sunday. Here's what I would do. In the evening, this is the protocol that I would go over. One is a lotion or cream. Two, oh, I'm sorry. This is two, this is three, this is one. Serum, lotion and cream, healing mask. You should not be able to see the healing mask at all. Okay, so you do your serums first, your lotion, your cream, your healing mask. On the night or the morning that you do the AHA 15, you would want to dilute the AHA 3 facial cleanser, okay, because you're dealing with 15 units of glycolic acid for the day, for whichever day that you prescribe that on. So the overview of this is, think about the Fitzpatrick scale, think about the cold weather, think about the cold weather on the skin, think about the type of client you have with regards to their history and their skin's function against cold, their experience with glycolic acid. And I'd like you to pay very close attention to the number of units, and if you're telling the client to dilute it, and how. Okay? So this is, again, a broad overview, and I apologize if I'm talking in circles. I don't mean to, but the use of glycolic acid and the addition of the very, very cold weather, if you live in a very cold environment, and also too, if your clients tend to be on the Fitzpatrick 1 on the small scale or the 3, that's going to add another element. And you can't forget also too how aggressive you are, because aggression to anti-aging is related to dryness and post-protocol complications with regards to the use of the glycolic acid or the acids, which is what you're using to treat treat the skin goals, or I should say, to accomplish the skin goals of your client. Okay, so I hope that helps. Again, bird's eye view, just to give some information, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.